Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, President Rodrigo Duterte extends the general community quarantine status in Metro Manila, while Cebu City is back under an enhanced community quarantine. And after a Manila court convicts Rappler CEO Maria Ressa and former researcher writer Reynaldo Santos of cyber libel, Malacañang denies that there's a threat on freedom of expression. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque joins us live. And later, as Metro Manila remains under GCQ, what measures are in place that local leaders will have to put in place to prevent another wave of infections? Metro Manila Council Chairman and Parañaque Mayor Edwin Olivares joins us live. Tighter quarantine measures in Cebu City as it becomes the new epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in the Visayas. President Rodrigo Duterte has placed the city back under enhanced community quarantine until June 30th. The health department says that there's an increasing number of COVID-19 cases and widespread community transmission there. Talisay City, a component city under Cebu Province, will be placed under a modified enhanced community quarantine. Meantime, Metro Manila will stay under GCQ, or General Community Quarantine, because officials say they noticed a downtrend in cases in the region. In an address to the nation on Monday, the president also lauded the continuous rise in COVID-19 recoveries.
I cannot say it's second wave because it is still increasing sa infected, tapos ang namatay is 1,000. Although what is very heartening is the recovery, which is about 6,252. It's a good record compared to the other countries.
Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Secretary Roque, maraming salamat po sa oras.
Good morning and happy birthday again to the classic Pinky Webb.
Thank you, Secretary. So not much change with the President's decision. We're looking at Metro Manila still on GCQ, but ang Cebu City po, ECQ, yun po yung pinakamataas, and Talisay City is under MECQ. So, Secretary Roque, let's start with NCR. What were the conditions that the President looked into to keep us under GCQ?
Well, if I were to be candid, no, parang pasang-awa ang Metro Manila, and that is why we remain under GCQ. We're looking at 7-day doubling case rate, meaning aabot ng 7 araw bago dumoble yung kaso ng COVID, and Manila barely made it to 7 days. No? One thing going for Manila is that we have about 30% critical care utilization rate, which means we have about 70% capacity still in Metro Manila, which explains why the decision was to remain in GCQ. But Cebu City, on the other hand, does not have a 7-day critical doubling rate or doubling rate of the disease. And moreover, the OH reported that the critical care capacity is now under the dangerous level in Cebu City, meaning they don't have enough beds anymore for critical care patients. No? And that's why the decision is to return to ECQ for Cebu City. No? The numbers in Cebu City are now alarming. They have exceeded the numbers of COVID cases in Quezon City on a per-day basis, meaning they now have the highest incidence of COVID cases in the country. It has surpassed Quezon City already. No? And neighboring Talisay, although a bit better, still has to remain under MECQ, which for all intents and purposes is still a lockout because also of the very high, I should say very low case doubling rate. And wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Very high doubling rate, meaning the the higher the numbers, the better. But the doubling rate in Cebu
Opo.
City and in Talisay City is low, meaning it's less than 7 days. No, so I stand corrected there. And at the same time, critical care capacity is also worrisome.
I
Hello.
think in Metro Manila, if I'm not mistaken, Secretary Roque, I said, I think in Metro Manila, yung case doubling rate natin, sinabi mo nga, pasang-awa, muntik na, konti na lang. Kasi I think nasa 6.8 or 6.9%
6.9.
tayo ng case doubling rate.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas,
So,
7 is the ideal day. Although the rest of the Philippines now is as high as 10 to 11 days, not doubling rate. So you can see
Right.
why substantial amounts of areas have been placed under MGCQ. And of course, the rest of Luzon, no, excluding Region 1, are still in GCQ.
So, Secretary, given
We're
all
frozen.
that information, especially the one in Cebu, what you mentioned, yun pong dangerous level, not enough beds for critical patients. Again, in case you didn't hear that, that's in Cebu City. In fact, you said it's alarming. Ano hong plano ng government to be able to help yung mga kababayan po natin sa Cebu City?
Well, I yesterday in the meeting with the president that the private sector has already donated 50 ventilators no Cebu City. I think it was San Miguel Corporation that donated it because they have also in dire supply of ventilators in Cebu City already, meaning that they have many critical care patients already requiring the use of ventilators. No? And we have also asked, if I'm not mistaken, the National Task Force has asked the private hospitals in Cebu City to increase their allotted bed capacity for COVID patients, no? Because the allotted space for these patients are no longer enough to meet the demands of the city, no? So, and of course, because we're back to ECQ in Cebu City, the city, for all intents and purposes, is on lockdown. Only essential industries will be allowed to operate. No one will be allowed to leave the residences unless to buy essentials. There will be quarantine passes issued by the barangay. And this is without prejudice to more stringent lockdown that the mayor can authorize in some of the barangays in Cebu City.
So I believe also Sec Roque, si Secretary Vince Dizon and Secretary Galvez were there about over the weekend. I believe it was Saturday in Cebu City to really check out the situation there, knowing that it is now the epicenter of infections of COVID-19.
Well, let's just say that the difference between Metro Manila is we're about 16, cities and municipalities, whereas Cebu City is alone. No? One good news, though, going for the Cebu province itself, is that the numbers seem to be concentrated in Cebu City and Talisay right now. It has not actually spread throughout the province, which is why intercity and province borders will have to be secured because we don't want the cases to spread all over the province right now. No? And of course, there's also a pending appeal from the governor of Cebu that the rest of the province should be declared under MGCQ. But what the ITF considered is that Cebu City is really the gateway to the Cebu province, even if the airport is in Lapu-Lapu. But you can't really go south or west without passing through Cebu City. No? And my advice really is for the province to re-establish very stringent border patrols, no, to contain the further spread of COVID-19 throughout the province, so that in the coming months, perhaps the province can have a better classification, and hopefully Cebu City will also no longer remain in ECQ.
But Secretary Roque, what happened to Cebu City? Bakit ho naging ganun yung sitwasyon?
We don't know. I myself am asking. I'm very fond of Cebu City. I consider myself to be a native of Cebu City. I got married there, and I'm very alarmed. I think what happened was there were really many cases in particular barrios, and perhaps what they should have done was to declare a complete lockdown for these barangays, no? But it did not happen, and now it has spread throughout the city. We're hoping that it is still manageable, and that is why we're hoping that everyone in Cebu will cooperate, and that the city government should consider further more stringent lockdowns on the affected barangays.
Okay, just one more question about Cebu City, sir. Are there enough personnel to man the hospitals there?
I think so. But the good news, as I said, is the rest of the nation have moved down to MGCQ. Some are, in fact, preparing for the new normal. So if there's a need for increased medical personnel in Cebu City, we can perhaps borrow the personnel from the surrounding areas of Cebu City. And the good news, of course, is neighboring provinces like Negros, Iloilo, and Bacolod have already been downgraded to MGCQ. And that is why these are areas where we could potentially hire temporary health workers if need be.
All right, I want to just go to the DOH COVID-19 numbers, Secretary Roque. Let's look at June 14. We had 539 cases reported, 366 were classified as fresh, 173 as late. That was June 14. And then June
You're
15,
choppy.
which was yesterday. Okay, so let's try that again. June 14 po, 539 cases po from the
You're
DOH
choppy,
COVID-19
unfortunately. I
bulletin.
can't understand the question.
We're gonna have to possibly, let's take a break first. Let's fix our communication with
Nako, I
Secretary
can't.
Harry Roque. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. We're gonna try this again. Our guest today, Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Secretary Roque.
Yes, I think it's better now without my video. No, yes, go ahead, please.
Wala. Okay, Sec, I just wanted to discuss the numbers, the DOH numbers. No, let's look at June 14. We had rather 539 COVID-19 cases. 366 were classified as fresh, 173 late. And then we go to yesterday, which was June 15, 490 cases compared to 539 the other day. Ang fresh 348, 142 po yung late. I guess an average between the 2 days would be 500 new cases, and yung fresh cases po would average about 350 cases. So does this seem positive news for you?
Well, by and large, if you look at the figures on a national basis, it does look encouraging. No? What you need to get from these figures is the case doubling rate. And when you plot the case doubling rate, you see that it has really declined. You also need to look at the mortality rates, because the mortality rates were now down to about 10 or so cases, even less cases a day. We've brought down the number of mortality on a daily basis. And then we also look at the critical care capacity of the entire nation, and we are more or less at around 30 to 40% utilization rate, which means we have capacity for 60 to 70% more. No? So in that sense, it is encouraging, and it does warrant placing majority of the provinces under MGCQ or GCQ.
Right. Just a quick update on the social amelioration program, sir.
Yes. Well, yesterday, Secretary Anyo, who was my seatmate in the meeting with the president, said that the distribution of the second tranche has already started, and that bulk of the second tranche will be distributed electronically. The balance, if any, will be distributed through the assistance of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. But I think that's the good news for this week, that the second tranche is now being distributed.
Is there a target by which government wants to have a deadline in terms of distributing the second tranche, sir?
Well, there's no fixed target, but according to Secretary Bautista, for the amounts that they will disburse electronically, it will take them only 2 days at the most. So we're hoping that the month of June will not end without 100% of the second tranche being distributed.
All right. Anti-terror bill. You were asked yesterday, Secretary Roque, about it. The President has received the enrolled copy, and you said to the question of the press yesterday, sabi mo makakausap po si Pangulo mamayang gabi, which was rather last night. Any update on that, sir?
He spoke, and rhetorically, he said he was waiting for Senator Lacson to finish his commas and his periods. But that was rhetorical because, of course, the enrolled bill is now in his desk. So let's just say that he's taking a final look at it, but I think he is inclined to sign it.
But did he have any possible inhibitions, sir? Did he mention anything to you?
There was no mention other than that was his quote. No, I'm waiting for Senator Lacson to finish with his caps and his periods. No, which seems to indicate that if it's ready, then he will sign it. No, I guess we're just waiting for final review by the Office of the Executive Secretary, and if possible, if the DOJ will also have the inputs because Secretary Panelo has already submitted his.
All right. On to another topic, the conviction of Maria Ressa and Reynaldo Santos Jr. I know that this is a subject, not them in particular, sir, but the cybercrime law, particularly close to you, something that you have questioned way back in 2012. In fact, you wrote an article in Rappler. It was entitled See You in Court, something like that, sir. First of all, I just want to bring this in because I want to understand it better and I hope you can help me. Sabi po ni Dean Mel Santamaria, dapat daw wala ng case from the beginning. Why? Because in 2012,
well, let's just say
of which
that
he was a
we have
petitioner.
been.
Go ahead,
Well,
Sec.
again,
Roque.
you're choppy.
Sige.
Unfortunately,
Ako
I
muna,
didn't get
Sec.
anything in your question. No? Hello? Unfortunately,
Sec.
it's
Roque,
been
I'm gonna try
choppy.
again. Ano po?
All I can say is that we have had a. I can't hear. Okay. All I can say there is that number one, the court has spoken. We have a functioning judiciary. The problem in this case is that the complainant is a private individual, and under our libel laws, where the complainant is a private individual, then there is malice in fact, and malice in law, I should say. I stand corrected. It's malice in law, which means that the complainant does not have to prove that there was actual malice. The law presumes that there was, and it is a burden of the defense to overcome this presumption. No? And the court said that Teddy Ted did not overcome that presumption, and therefore she was found guilty. I read the decision, and I was surprised that there was also no defense evidence offered, no, to prove the absence of malice. No, they only presented two witnesses, and there was really no witness that took the stand to say that they went out of their way to verify their facts. No, they accused a private individual of being a criminal, and they should have at least gotten public records to indicate that he was in fact a criminal. So I think on the basis of a merit, then there was a seasoned libel defense lawyer myself, there should have really been evidence to prove the absence of malice. How? By proving the steps they took to verify their story. In that sense, I guess you'll never have a libel case, and we will never be convicted for libel because I know you verify all your facts. But as far as libel advocacy is concerned, people don't know this, but in 2001, it was the president who asked for my assistance to assist journalist Alex Adonis, who was jailed for libel on the complaint of then Speaker Prospero Nograles in connection with the so-called burlesking incident. No? We went to the Committee on Human Rights in New York. We got a favorable communication, a view saying that criminal libel in the Philippines is contrary to freedom of expression. Take note that while the party there was Alex Adonis, it was the president that gave us the support, no, to proceed with that kind of a communication. And Alex Adonis in 2008 attempted to enforce the decision of the Committee on Human Rights in the Supreme Court, where we sought to invalidate the cyber libel case as being unconstitutional. We did not succeed because, according to the court, the decision of the Human Rights Committee was only recommendatory to Congress, and Congress has to decriminalize libel law. And furthermore, the court said that libel is not protected speech and therefore could still be punished criminally. So now that she has been convicted for libel, unfortunately, that's the state of jurisprudence and law in the Philippines, despite all our efforts, no, to decriminalize libel.
Okay, just a quick question, Secretary. I hope you can hear me. Do you believe that the prescription period should be 1 year or should the prescription period be 12 years?
Well, the court in its decisions the court in its decision reckon the prescriptive period from the time the article was apparently updated, no? So the reckoning period, according to the court, was when it was updated. And in effect, the court said that because it was updated on that day, it continues to be actionable.
Yeah, but it was updated or republished in 2014. The case was filed in 2017. That's 2.5 or 3 years later, sir. So it doesn't fall under the 1-year prescriptive period. That's why I wanted to ask you, do you believe that cybercrime law should have, in your readings, in your studying, a 1-year prescription period, or does it fall under the 12-year prescription period?
Well, in my view, no, that's one interesting issue that the appellate court can decide, no, assuming, of course, that the court will consider it as an area to be reviewed, no. But there is the issue of, given the nature of the internet, unless it's removed, there is a view that it continues to be published, and therefore the prescriptive period should be reckoned on the date that it continues to be seen on the internet, no. So the 1 year or 12-year period, whatever it may be, will be reckoned from the fact that it remains on the internet, no. So let's see what the appellate courts decide. But I caution, of course, Maria Ressa and Mr. Santos that their penalty is actually subject to probation. So walang kulong yan. If they want, they can just apply for probation and they can be scot-free, no. But when they appeal, and if they lose their appeal, then they have to serve time, because that's what happened to Alex Adonis.
I see. All right. I wish we had more time. Secretary Harry Roque, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Take care, sir.
And again, happy birthday. You're truly ageless.
Salamat, Secretary Roque. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Coming up, we talk to Metro Manila Council Chairman Mayor Edwin Olivares on government's decision to keep Metro Manila under general community quarantine. We'll be right back.